In the tiny landlocked East African country of Rwanda, one thing is clear. People love their milk. Today we are in Kigali, Rwanda for one purpose and one purpose alone, to try milk. Rwanda is famous for its milk bars, and we read an article 3 years ago that told us all about these milk bars and really piqued our interest. And now we are here on the ground to hop around to a bunch of milk bars and learn more about Rwandan milk culture. Join in our adventures as we hunt down neighborhood milk bars, connect with a rural Rwandan family dairy farm, and partake in Rwanda's exclusive art form utilizing cow dung as a canvas. We weren't sure if milk bars were really a thing or not, since only a couple of destinations show up in Kigali using key words about milk. But driving throughout the country, you see milk tankers, milk on bicycles, and ads for milk all over the place. We were hopeful it wasn't just an exaggerated part of Rwandan culture covered in one article many years ago, because it was what brought us to Rwanda in the first place. How much do you love milk?
So much.
What are you doing today, Lucy?
Doing some milk in a farmhouse.
Milk in a farmhouse? Oh, that's what we're actually doing.
Daddy, we're actually going to a market bar. It's not going to be in a farmhouse.
You guys excited?
Yes. I'm doing some milk with you.
Yes.
Yes.
In our first quest for dairy, we chose to visit the Kuruhimbi milk bar, which we'd read was one of the only neighborhood milk bars remaining after a large expansion of a chain of milk bars ran many smaller ones out of business. I see it down there. It looks open. I think it's real.
Wait, you actually see it? I don't see it.
There's the white curtain down there.
Oh, no way. Next year we're going to do this, okay?
It's officially a thing. They do have the milk here. This place is unlabeled. There's nothing, there's no signage. It's just a white curtain in a box store, but they've got milk. They've got the Vado milk cooling right there. Supposedly it's delivered fresh daily from different farms around Rwanda, and we're gonna try some. So Yusuf, the owner of the milk bar, told us that Kuruhimbi means milk bar in Kinya, Rwanda, which is the local language here. Yusuf serves hot boiled milk and fermented milk. Cold raw milk isn't sold at milk bars because the threat of infection is too high. Boiling or fermenting kills the necessary germs. The boiled milk wasn't ready, so fermented it was. This fermented milk drink is called ikivuguto, and it tastes like a drinkable yogurt. It's sweetened with a little bit of sugar and often has different flavorings added to it, though this one was plain milk flavor. There were also pastries available, and we went for the chapati and some kind of muffin. The total bill, 1,000 Rwandan francs, or about 75 cents. It turns out all of his kids live in the United States, and in fact, he has 3 kids that live in Texas and 1 that lives in California, and they all live where we're from, which is the DFW area in North Texas. So it is so strange how many times we meet people in corners of the world that have some sort of connection to Texas, but that just made it all the better, and we thought it was crazy that we were just in this little tiny neighborhood in the middle of Kigali, and this guy has 3 kids that live where we're from. After realizing how small the world is, Yusuf kindly took some photos with us to memorialize our long journey to drink his milk. Next, we drove around the Kapaguro neighborhood to see if we could find any more milk bars. It turns out they're all over the place. Milk bars are often denoted by the phrase Amata Meza, which means fresh milk, or there will be pictures of milk jugs or cows. However, this place named Hara Amata Meza, which means there is fresh milk in Kinya, Rwanda, actually didn't sell any milk at all. Finally, we headed to an Inyange milk zone, which is one of the chain milk bars that has expanded across Kigali. We are currently headed to the Inyange, which is the company that has 80 different milk zones here in Kigali, and I kind of thought when we were first planning this trip that the story was going to be that Inyange was the kind of big corporate entity that was running out all of these neighborhood milk bars. The whole thing started back in 2012 when the president of Rwanda was having a Q&A on Facebook, and a farmer wrote in and said, "Hey, I sell a liter of my milk from my cows for this much, and I noticed that it's being sold in Kigali for this much. Now there's no way that the delta between what I'm selling it for and what they're selling it for is just the fees for processing it and packaging it. So there's clearly being a ton of money lost in the middlemen." That really stumped the president, and the president thought, okay, how can we get more money to the farmers and cut out these middlemen? And so he partnered with Inyange, which was one of the biggest beverage manufacturers in Rwanda. So Inyange has now opened all of these milk zones, and what they do is they have 12 different collection centers for milk in rural parts of Rwanda where farmers can bring their milk, sell it directly to Inyange. It's processed there at the collection centers, and then the milk is taken onto these refrigerated milk trucks every morning and delivered to the Inyange milk zones in Kigali. And then the milk is just served out of the tap from these Inyange milk zone locations. And so the whole idea is that the farmers are actually getting a higher percentage of the milk that they produce from their cows, as opposed to leaving half of the money on the table to somebody who's having to buy it from them and then sell it on to the producers. Because they've opened so many of them, maybe it has affected the business of some of the neighborhood milk bars. They're still providing a good service, and it's not as if they're just this corporate behemoth trying to run out the little guys. So. Alrighty, we just got back from grabbing all of those milks, and we only got to really try it at one of the places. Most of them were sort of a grab and go, so we're gonna do a taste test here. I actually realized we had gotten quite as much as we did. I don't even know what all this is. I'll take the glasses. All in all, there was way more milk bars out and about than we thought, because really I don't think people use Google much here. Google Maps is not very reliable, but if you type in milk bar in Kigali, a couple of things pop up, but they're actually super ubiquitous, just like we had read about, and they're all over the place. So when we went into the Inyange, we were gonna try to just buy a little cup or a small amount out of the fridge, but it actually worked out because I didn't want something prepackaged. I wanted to get it out of the tap again. And the only thing that they had available for that was getting stuff by the liter. So we ordered 1 liter, then we had to also buy the jug. So it didn't get filled up to the top, it was just a little bit, but you had to buy the jug, which you can then have for a long time, but unfortunately, since we're leaving tomorrow, we will just have to leave it here, so we didn't get much value out of that, but we're gonna taste test that here in just a second. They're all gonna try some. Don't touch it.
It's good.
Tastes like extremely normal grocery store milk. Nothing satisfies quite like a cold milk. We booked this place, doesn't have any air conditioning. Feels good to have some cold milk. It is nice.
But it still has a fan.
It still has a fan. That's very optimistic. But at the Inyange, you had the ability to either buy powdered milk, or you could buy yogurt, or you could buy these big boxes of boxed milk, or you could buy it out of the tap. That's the one that we read about, that is the milk coming from the collection centers that is then going into those large dispensers every day. And so I think that's the fresh milk from the countryside. We walked right down to another dairy that was right next to the Inyange. It was about 3 storefronts down, and within a few seconds, one of the store people actually gave the girls strawberry yogurts for free. It was super nice. We hadn't even talked to anyone, and he just brought them out and handed it to them. Another person that I don't even think worked there came over and popped the lids for him and was just telling them to go ahead and drink them. And
I like the strawberry milk. We just got some Walmart.
Now they're sitting behind me. Oh my gosh, Oz has got her paws in the honey. From that dairy, we bought some vanilla flavored fermented milk to try at the house. Thick. Oh, yeah. It's like eating cream. Vanilla Greek yogurt is what it tastes like.
Oh.
While on safari at Akagera National Park, we had the opportunity to deepen our understanding of Rwanda's rich connection to milk. We visited a family farm, where they showed us how they milk their cows each day. The family's neighbor came over to show off his milking skills because he's known in the area for having a special touch with the cows. We tried our hand at it ourselves, too. After collecting some milk, the family invited us into their home to experience this culture's unique reverence for milk. They prepare the milk to drink by lighting incense and smoking the milk in a gourd. It gives the milk a delicious smell, but more importantly, purifies it in their eyes. There isn't any purification of germs that occurs with the incense, but it's more of a ceremonial cleansing that demonstrates Rwanda's reverence for cows and the nutritional drink they provide. The Rwandan government, recognizing the incredible impact of milk's nutritional benefits, is making a concerted effort to get Rwandans more milk. The government has gifted over 400,000 milk cows to poor families in Rwanda, both as a source of nutrition and a way to make more income by selling the milk back to collection centers or their own communities. The Ministry of Education has also spearheaded a 1 cup of milk per child program wherein every student gets a glass of milk at school each day. The milk is part of Rwanda's culture, but the country is investing heavily in it as part of its future too, by counting on milk to deliver vital nutrition to its youth. Back in Kigali, we got another look into the country's reverence and utilization of cows. Imigongo is an art form native to Rwanda. Cow dung is mixed with ash to neutralize the smell and kill germs. Then it's piled up onto a wooden canvas into geometric shapes and painted with these bright colors. This local art studio helped our daughters create their own Imigongo, and we learned about its history. A young prince, privileged with his ownership of cows, used this method to decorate the walls of his home in the 1700s, and the medium has been developed by Rwandan artists ever since. The girls enjoyed being free to make their own creation, and we actually loved what they eventually came up with. The story of Rwanda's connection to milk runs deep. It's a vital nutritional aid for people of all ages. Milk bars are a place to meet up with friends and drink together while avoiding all the negative effects of alcohol. It's an income for many rural families who are able to afford housing, schooling for their children, and food as a result of selling this precious resource. Cows are revered and their milk enjoyed widely. We're just happy to have found a culture that loves milk just as much as we do.